Derulo should have known this. This isn't his first year in the business. He has to deal with this stuff all the time. I don't know if it's greed. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know. I just don't understand that behavior at this point in his career.
Do you remember that song that kind of took over the planet? It was the Savage Love. Savage Love. You know the one. So Jason Derulo and his song Savage Love, well, unfortunately, he's being sued over this exact song. So it was produced by Josh, and it's spelled JAWSH 685. And so they're facing a lawsuit along with their label, Sony and Columbia Records. And so basically, this other songwriter, one, I should say, studio performer, guitarist, bassist, is alleging unpaid credit, unpaid royalties, and we have the complaint. And so we're going to be taking a look at this together.
Just the very essence and formation of this song was, Jason Derulo taking inspiration and then actually taking the sample from a song that was like a TikTok sound. So it's just kind of interesting, the conception of this and then where it went, where this guy has now filed a complaint.
This was in 2020, so April 23. The complainant, or the plaintiff, Matthew Spatola. So Spatola gets a call from Jason. Okay, so this is what he's saying. He's like, come on over. We're working on something. And so this was a collab with Josh 685, and it was using his beats, which is actually, funny enough, part of the title. Right, so it's Savage Love, and then let me even find the title here because it actually references his beat, which I think was so smart on his side. So it's Savage Love, Laxed, Siren Beat, so it's in the actual title. Okay, so that was really, really smart for the producer. They get called over, they're working on something, they put the sample in, and then what the plaintiff is saying is that he went in the studio, he's playing guitar stuff, and he goes, the section in the song where you hear an acoustic guitar, that's me. Right? I'm playing it. I wrote it. I do bass stuff. And then he goes, after that, there were additional touches. I was talking to Jason. We were kind of working out the rate. I was like, hey, $1,000 a day. He's like, cool. He paid me $2,000. So I'm not disputing that. I did get paid for those 2 days. But on that second day, I did come back and I helped with different things. So, I mean, this is pretty detailed.
Right.
There's a lot of like our complaints that we review might be like, they stole the name, or they took the inspiration because they heard the song. I mean,
they heard the song. This is he's in the mix, and it's documented. He's in the mix. Right. Doing these things. He's describing the exact breakdown of everything that happened.
All right, so these are the attorneys at the top. This is filed in the United States District Court, Central District of California. So this is federal court in California. The plaintiff, Matthew Spatola. Okay. Oh, his professional name is Matty Spatz.
I like it.
So Matty Spatz is suing Jason Derulo, Sony Music, doing business as Columbia Records. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? Because the news story we just read had said that the other producer was also getting sued. I don't see him. So it looks like he maybe have gone out. So anyway, the complaint is for declaratory judgment, and this is on the copyright issue. So basically what the plaintiff is saying is, court, I'm going to give you all the evidence that you need, and I want you to declare and make a decision that there was copyright infringement. So kind of to make this case go a little bit faster. All right, so jurisdiction and venue. This section, just so you guys know, is just establishing why does this complaint get to be in this court all the time. We can fight and just be like, jurisdiction is improper. This case needs to be removed. So you have to say, as part of any complaint, why you're there, which is what this is. So basically it goes, the first claim is under copyright law, which is federal law, right? So 17 USC. So therefore, the court, which is a federal court, has subject matter jurisdiction. Then the court has supplemental jurisdiction over the second claim, okay, which is going to be likely a state claim. We'll get to it. And then venue is proper pursuant to these statutes because the defendants actually live in California. So they're like, this is a California federal court. Venue is proper. So here in the beginning, the attorney just kind of goes through and he's like, this case arises out of Jason's refusal to give Matthew the credit and royalty he is due as a co-author of the #1 hit song, Savage Love. And there it is, Laxed. What is it? Laxed.
Laxed.
I don't know, Laxed. Siren Beats, Hereafter, Savage Love. Okay. And P.S., when it comes to copyright and the rights that the holder has. We think of things like the right to copy, right to make additional copies of it, to distribute the thing, because like if you make it, you have copyright, you own it, no one else gets to
Mm,
use it. But when he's talking about you didn't credit me,
right.
this falls into a category of what are called moral rights. Okay, so when if you ever are reading a contract and it's like it talks about moral rights, it's the right of attribution, right? So if I'm working with That Orko on a song and I never credit him and I just use the song, he can sue me for a bunch of things. One of them can be for his moral right of crediting him because it's important, right? The right of attribution. Everyone wants to have their name on everything.
Sure.
So anyway, that's where that comes from. So anyway, April 2020, they're collaborating. There's an instrumental going on, and that's what became Savage Love. And this was at Jason's home in Los Angeles. Jason and Matt went back to the studio again, right? So this was the second day. Then they were just, Jason decided to just release the song.
Yeah.
Now, this was
Yeah.
actually, he did a soft release. So a soft release is where you just don't actually release it to music
Right.
platforms. You just put it on like TikTok, which is what
Yeah.
Jason did. So Jason just put it on TikTok without providing any credit to Matt.
And
The
that's
work,
what he isn't that what he did originally as well when he got the sample from TikTok from Josh, is he just kinda took it and he released that kinda idea on he just, like, floated it, and then he ended up having to give Josh that credit, and then
yeah,
so
yeah, and we'll kind of get to that sort of here in a second. So, although Matt had, produced at Jason's home before Savage Love, those sessions were involved in a larger project. So, like, basically having they had a prior relationship. To Matt's knowledge, none of the music created at those earlier sessions were ever released. Savage Love was different. The writing, conceptualization of the instrumental composition, and the creation of the actual recording occurred when Matt and Jason were the only contributors present in the studio. Now, whether they were the only ones there or there were 20 people there
right.
doesn't matter for purposes of Matt having copyright, right? If Matt contributed something
He
to the
was in there,
song.
he had hands to instruments. He was
Yeah,
writing.
no, I mean the tried and true example that I always share with people because these are real cases.
Yeah.
Someone's in the back and they drop the broom and it
Yeah.
goes clank, and the clank is in the song. That person has copyright in the song because they created something that's in the song. Now, it's did they intend it to be
Right.
that way? And you can argue it all day long. But anyway, so Savage Love then topped Billboard Hot 100 on October in 2020 after a boost from a remix. That's why we do remixes. They really help with the original. Yada 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 yada. They once again didn't acknowledge him. They were cutting him out completely from writing credit.
Mm.
It was an international success. And then it goes on to talk about how this was actually only the second top 100 Billboard success for Jason. So they make this point and they're like, he's only at two. This was the second. Jason created Savage Love in a similar fashion. Okay, so this is where he talks about how basically he just took this sample
Right.
from Josh when Derulo and Jason went into the studio to create Savage Love. Derulo started the session by uploading the sample into
Yep.
Pro Tools, and then they basically built the
Right.
instrumental around that. Since the commercial release, he's been requesting many a times for credit from Jason, which Jason has not done via text messages. And they attached the text messages. Let's take a look. So, of course, we don't see numbers, but we'll take this as true. So, one thing they'll have to do as part of the case is to prove that obviously these are text messages with Jason Derulo. But anyway, let's get into it. Hey, what's good, Jason? It's Maddie. I just pulled up. Press 101 on the call box. That's Jason's voice. And then he gives an email. I don't understand. Hey, what's up, brother? Good vibes last night. Let me know what to put on the invoice. Much love. Hey, Matt, it's Jason. Are you free tonight? Hey, what's up?
Why does he sound like that? I don't even understand.
Hey, what's up, Jason? Yeah, I'm free tonight. I like 6. Yeah,
It's like Michael
sounds
Jackson all of a
good.
sudden.
And then Jason says, do you know a sax player? Exhibit 2, do you know a sax player? I just texted my homie, but he didn't answer. Do you have a ukulele? Yeah, I do. I'll bring it, my guy. On my way now. Just pulled up. 1K each day. Sounds good, brother. Appreciate you, man. Hey, what's up, B? I missed your call. Let's do 8. Bet. Exhibit 3. So, like, obviously, if this really is conversations with
Right,
Jason,
right.
this shows everything he's saying. He was hired, they went, they worked on it. All right, and then I think this was later on, he was just contacting, I think this was like the tour manager, and so he's like talking about filing complaints and he's trying to get credit. He's like,
Mhm.
I talked to Jason and Jason's like, I'm gonna credit you, man, no problem. And then he just didn't. So, in the complaint, he's saying I basically tried all the things. I didn't get the outcome I needed, so here we are. So what do you think?
I think that it's nuts when we see artists that are doing things like this. Like, I don't understand what his hesitation to Jason Derulo. I don't know what Jason Derulo's hesitation is for not just giving the credit. Like, he knows how it works. He's been in the industry a minute now. He knows what he needs to do. Why he would actively just not, credit him, make sure he's taken care of. I mean, maybe that's what he thought when he was like $1,000 for, a day that takes care of you, bing bang boom. I don't know, but like it just doesn't even make sense to me because they know they're going to have to. And so now they're just wasting time going, in and out of courts and, hiring lawyers and getting their name dragged through the mud. And then people are now reluctant to working on them. And, the worst thing that could happen is, for Jason Derulo is this case to be successful. And then you're going to see other artists coming out of the woodwork be drawn because it's drawing attention to the fact that he does this. I don't know. It's the second time on this song where something kind of iffy has kind of happened. So he has a thing about he just doesn't care. And I don't understand what that mentality is
Well,
as the
going back
second one.
to Selter's question on the work for hire, so this is the
Yeah.
tricky part, and this is where people get so tied up because they hire musicians and performers and they pay them. So obviously, the expectation is that I'm paying you, so I will own it. But it is not a work for hire under
Right.
the Copyright Act or under the law in general, unless you have a contract. It
Right.
has to be a written contract. And always think, what's the reason why? Well, it's because we don't want to deprive people of their creative stuff that they've
No,
made
that's
unless they intended to do it. And we need to memorialize that they intended to give you ownership in a signed writing. So it does have to be in a contract.
I mean, look at all the music before like the 60s. I mean, that's how record labels were just like taking, just ruining these hard artists because they gave them, $100 to come in or whatever and do their thing. And then they would never make money again. They wouldn't have any rights to any of their stuff. And I don't know. It, it, Derulo should have known this. This isn't his first year in the business. He has to deal with this stuff all the time. I don't understand, especially when something has made so much money and the song is so huge. Like, I don't know if it's greed. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know. I just don't understand that behavior at this point in his career.
It also might just be that maybe with the different creative people that he works with, they just don't do these deals and maybe like handshake agreements, or how they kind of run things. And I mean, but again,
But
just
at
your
that
level of.
level,
Yeah, but at any level, I don't care if you're Derulo or you're just kind of starting your career. Get contract templates, get an
yes,
attorney,
yes.
make sure things are clear so you're not getting sued later on after you have a massive hit viral song. And that's what I say.